Post-training notice. National first-class registered exorcist. Extra chapter. The Starry River above, Part 5. Zhi Xiaoduo and Chen Lang climbed excitedly into the car. 3 hours later. Xiang Cheng and Zhi Xiaoduo were standing by the side of the freeway, looking over the lay of the land. When Zhi Xiaoduo had peeped his head out, he felt so cold he thought he was going to die, and he told Chen Lang to make sure to put on a mask and wool beanie before getting off. The female mandrill sat numbly in the back seat. Zhi Xiaoduo tried to chat with her, but the Yaoguai was afraid of them. For every question that Zhi Xiaoduo asked, the Yaoguai would respond tersely, and upon seeing how her heart wasn't in it, Zhi Xiaoduo figured it was because she was missing her child, so he stopped disturbing her. Chen Zhen was wearing his Google glasses, using the satellite GPS to find their way. He and Xiang Cheng swapped out as drivers as they headed towards the southeastern foot of the Greater Khingan Range, Jagdaki, where they would then head up the mountains. On their way there, their surroundings were a blank white. The sky and the ground had been blanketed by the whiteness of snow, and in the distance, they would from time to time see several houses capped with snow. There were no cities, nor were there any villages. The beaches and pines were covered with snow, and they flashed past. The world stretched out endlessly vast before them, as if the distance in front of them was tens of times greater than the distance between Beijing and Guangzhou. Zhi Xiaoduo and Chen Lang were very curious in the beginning, but after watching for a while, nothing changed. They were surrounded by whiteness, and when the sun came out, it was blindingly white. Meanwhile, their car was just too old and it banged along, some wind even seeped in. According to Xiang Cheng, what they should have done was to let him transform into a dragon and fly over there, and perhaps he'd be able to find it just like that. But Chen Zhen thought that if they did that, it would be too easy to startle the Yaoguai and a powerful dragon would not be able to quash a snake in its own den, so it was best to be more cautious. At 3 o'clock in the morning, they arrived in Jagdaki. Zhi Xiaoduo and Chen Lang were so cold that their noses were red. The city was a swathe of darkness, and if they reached a hand out, it was so dark they would not be able to see their fingers. There were only two types of people who were staying in the city, the locals who had gone to sleep long ago, and the visitors who had long since run off who would only return come June. Their living quarters were not in great condition. Thankfully, there was still heating, though sometimes their signal would get cut off. "What are you doing?" Xiang Cheng asked. Zhi Xiaoduo had ridden in a car for a whole day, and he was so tired that his eyelids were fighting to stay up, yet he was still adjusting the totem. "Tomorrow, after we get into the mountains, we might not have any signal anymore," Zhi Xiaoduo said. "Let's get in contact with Fengli ahead of time." "We'll be covered by the satellite," Xiang Cheng said. "But it might not be stable." *******. Are you in the Greater Khingan Mountains? Fengli asked. "Yes," Zhi Xiaoduo replied. "How is the situation over there?" "All right," Fengli said. "We're almost done." The Greater Khingan Range. Fengli seemed to be thinking of something on the other end. Zhi Xiaoduo explained the general gist of things to him, and Fengli said, "This subordinate seems to have heard of a story regarding the Greater Khingan Range, but since it was many decades ago, I cannot remember it very clearly. Do you know the identity of this neighbor?" Xiang Cheng asked. Fengli tried to recall for a long time, before replying, "Very sorry, I really cannot remember. The Corpse Ghost King may know some secrets of the extreme northern regions. I will ask him tomorrow." "It's all right," Xiang Cheng replied easily. "After you remember, come tell me at any time." "I've created a strengthening tool for the totem," Zhi Xiaoduo said. "When the time comes, we'll be able to get in contact with the sacred land." "Okay," Fengli said. "I have a report to give, Your Majesty. As of currently, the renovations for the areas for the birds, the corpse Yao, and the aquatic tribe are basically complete. The land beasts region and the central hall are still in progress, and coordination of those efforts is being overseen by Gagantoru Akita. Fenli sent a few pictures over. Xiang Cheng felt pretty satisfied after glancing over them, and he made his decision on the spot. We'll go with that. In the center of the sacred hall, a signal tower will be erected, Fenli explained. It's been arranged as you have requested. Very good, Zhi Xiaoduo said. Have you run into any technical difficulties? You are a genius, Fenli replied. Zhi Xiaoduo replied modestly, I dare not, dare not. Fenli added, but if I may be so bold as to ask a question, what purpose does the signal tower serve? We can call normally, can we not? The sacred land is Wi-Fi enabled now as well. Zhi Xiaoduo. Xiang Cheng, that is not something you need to worry about. Yes sir, Fenli hurriedly said. Zhi Xiaoduo, no, this isn't for making calls. Fenli, haven't you discovered the usage of this array? Fenli replied, I do not understand arrays at all. It's truly a pity. It was only with this that Zhi Xiaoduo understood, and he hurriedly said, the signal tower won't be used for calls but rather for teleportation. Fenli. No wonder, Kita's voice said from the side. We've used up so much effort on this, how could it be used simply for making calls? Fenli and Kita stood in the divine hall of the Yao tribes, looking up at the amplifier on the roof of the building. Zhi Xiaoduo began to explain his own blueprints. He had planned to mimic the teleportation arrays used by the humans' exorcism committees to set up Yaoguai administrative divisions in various cities. They would be called Yaoguai committees for short. He would then use spells to connect them to the sacred land, thus allowing teleportation at any point in time. This idea was inspired by the Shazhu Street Snacks store, but it was still under development. As he studied it, Zhi Xiaoduo realized that the further the teleportation distance, the more energy that was required for it. Thankfully, the sacred land's location was in the southwest and reached throughout Jingchu, making it accessible in all directions. It was located right in the central region of China. Perhaps, in the very beginning, Mara had chosen Mount Wu as its place of origin because of this fact as well. That was to say, as long as the signal tower was built, the Yaoguai could borrow the power of the totem to teleport all across the land, back to the sacred land. This way, the various Yao kings could supervise their subordinates even more easily. Of course, this teleportation right now was only one way. They could go in but not out, because the exit array had to be strictly controlled, otherwise things would get messy. You want to try it first and see? Kita asked. How about sending the two of us over there? If they actually did it, the sacred land would have to set up teleportation to the Heilongjiang province, which was really too far. Forget about that for now, Zhi Xiaoduo said. We need power for that, a lot of power. Can teleportation happen as long as there is power? Xiang Cheng asked. Previously, teleportation was limited by the amount of energy the totem itself could absorb under the light of the moon, Zhi Xiaoduo explained. The totem acted as a rechargeable battery. After being fully charged every month, it could be used once. Now, what I want to do is to transfer its energy out, but if we do that and open a teleportation gate, the Yaoguai will have to maintain it. Normal Yaoguai will have no way to enter the sacred land. How does the exorcism committee teleport? Xiang Cheng asked. They use the earth veins for teleportation, Zhi Xiaoduo said. All of their entrances are located above earth veins, and exorcism committee headquarters are located above the intersections of earth veins. I also want to use this kind of spell, but there are many technical difficulties that haven't been conquered yet. Some other day, I'll discuss them with Xiao Lang. Zhi Xiaoduo tested it out, but finally, he could not win against his sleepiness, and he fell asleep. The next day, heavy snow began to fall. According to what Xiang Cheng had in mind, it would be best for Zhi Ziaduo and Chen Lang to wait here in Jagdaki until they returned, but Zhi Ziaduo had already left the warm 5-star hotel in Harbin, so he might as well grit his teeth and head into the mountains instead of dealing with this kind of crude hospitality. The vast forest stretched endlessly in front of them, and the pines were covered in snow. Inky black and white overtook their entire vision, and the trees, which looked both chaotically strewn about yet also ordered in the way of nature, filled the world. The streams had all frozen over, and the SUV left behind the road piled high with snow, driving down the mountain slope. Several times, Zhi Ziaduo thought that the car would stop working, but it showed an extraordinary tenacity. This car has been remodeled to be very impressive. Xiang Cheng was driving, and he steered the car onto an iced-over creek, jutting forward through the forest. When Elder Qian was young, he was an explorer, Chen Zhen said. He's an SUV enthusiast, and this car more likely than not came from him. Where to? Xiang Cheng turned back to ask. The mandrill pointed to the right, so Xiang Cheng drove the car upwards again along the slope. The snow had piled up too high, and the car's wheels spun for a while in the air, before it finally stopped moving. There's still a little more than 100 kilometers, Chen Zhen said. We won't be able to get there today. Let's get ready to set up camp. Xiang Cheng and Chen Zhen got out of the car. Xiang Cheng cast a spell, and an azure dragon's flame shot forth, clearing away the snow piled upon the road. The two of them then pushed the car up the slope. Chen Zhen gasped for breath. He almost died there, and it took a long while for him to recover. Chen Zhen, huff, huff. Let's set up camp here. Let move ahead, Xiang Cheng said. The map shows that we are almost at the first logging camp. As expected, several scattered houses appeared not too far away from them. Though it was called a logging camp, it did not occupy much space at all. It was less than 1,000 square meters in size. There were 3 flat houses, and tools were piled haphazardly outside them. Behind them was a kitchen. Xiang Cheng lit a kerosene lamp, illuminating the dark room. In the room was a row of bunk beds, and the blankets were still there, but they had been affected by the damp. Outside, the winds blew wildly, heralding the arrival of a blizzard. Xiang Cheng went into the kitchen to cook some food, while Zhi Ziaduo and Chen Lang worked together to set up the beds. They hung the little ginseng at the foot of the bed. Chen Lang then picked up a wash basin and folded up a little bit of cotton at the bottom for it to use as a nest. Outside was a solitary forest. Zhi Ziaduo and Chen Lang stood at the door, looking out for a bit. Chen Lang, I like this place so much. Zhi Ziaduo was struck dumb. Are you joking? Zhi Ziaduo asked. There's nothing to eat, and it's cold and remote. Chen Lang, because this place is very simple. There aren't many people here, and they won't make Gerger be very busy all the time. The entire world seems to be made up of trees, the heavy snow, and these little houses. Was that the case? Amidst this vast sea of trees, listening to the sound of snow and wind, Zhi Ziaduo did feel a little bit like he had been transported to another world. They were far removed from the hubbub of the human realm, and everything seemed to be less important than it had been. Don't you feel that? Chen Lang asked. Zhi Ziaduo thought for a bit. Chen Lang then gestured, what are you experiencing? When I stand here, Zhi Ziaduo gestured, I feel like someone is constantly slapping me. The wind blowing at my face is making it hurt so much. Chen Lang. Chen Zhen came in, carrying some carpet blankets. Where's the mandrill? Zhi Ziaduo replied, it's outside, looking for something to eat on its own. The mandrill was moving about in the vicinity. Its partner was still being detained at the exorcism committee, so Chen Zhen wasn't afraid of it pulling any tricks, which was why he ignored it for now. The stove is unusable, Xiang Cheng said, pushing the door open and coming in. It's been frozen solid. Let's burn some coal and keep warm. Chen Zhen replied, let me go dig around some more. The logging camp had been out of use for almost 6 years, and cobwebs covered the place. When it had been built, however, high-quality wood had been used for its construction, so it was very good at keeping the wind out. As soon as the door was closed, the blizzard was shut out. Xiang Cheng brought out the supplies they had in the trunk, making a basin of dough and thawing a portion of the meat. The 4 people and 1 mandrill sat down and started a fire in the charcoal stove within the wooden house, using the logging camp's large pot to boil some water and make dumplings. I found 2 bottles of erkuatu, Chen Zhen said, flicking the bottles. Drink some and warm yourself up. The mandrill stared into the fire, spacing out. Zhi Xiaotuo comforted it. We'll be able to find your son tomorrow. The mandrill nodded. Chen Lang looked questioningly at Zhi Xiaotuo, and a moment later, he had Zhi Xiaotuo serve as an interpreter so he could ask the mandrill some questions. Zhi Xiaotuo, how long have you been apart from your child? The mandrill replied, several years now. After Zhi Xiaotuo translated, Chen Lang looked at it sympathetically. Let's eat ba. Xiang Cheng handed each of them a lunchbox of dumplings. He had also placed the oddly shaped dumplings that Zhi Xiaotuo had made into his own bowl. This was the first warm thing that Zhi Xiaotuo had eaten all day, and he was so moved that tears covered his face. If you see it again, will you be able to recognize it? Zhi Xiaotuo asked on Chen Lang's behalf. In the span of a year, the wild people let me see them a few times, the mandrill replied. I'll be able to recognize him. Everyone wolfed their food down. Chen Lang gestured at Zhi Xiaotuo, and Zhi Xiaotuo relayed the question. Why didn't you seek help from the humans? Would the humans have cared? The mandrill asked in response. Seeking out our king would also have worked. At that time, we didn't know the great king, the mandrill replied, its face set in a bitter expression. But you can't just do bad things. You have no children, the mandrill said, sighing. Once you have children, you'll know. The mandrill was also afraid that the wild men would mistreat its child. Chen Lang, the familial relationship between them runs deeper than it does in humans. Zhi Xiaotuo nodded. Chen Lang added, that's how moms are, probably. Some moms are not like this, Zhi Xiaotuo said. Like my mom, she wasn't like this. Chen Lang nodded, and Xiang Cheng chuckled a bit but didn't speak. Zhi Xiaotuo glanced at Xiang Cheng, and he also stopped speaking. After everyone ate the dumplings, Zhi Xiaotuo was feeling a little sleepy, so he leaned into Xiang Cheng's arms and played with his phone. He only had 1 bar of signal, and it was 2G as well. Zhi Xiaotuo missed Lang Dog a little, and he wondered if Lang Dog had caused any trouble at home. After sending a text message and not seeing a reply, he figured that Lang Dog was more likely than not playing mobile games again. Should we sleep in the next room? Chen Zhen asked. Here's fine, Xiang Cheng replied. Starting another fire is troublesome. When the ginseng got here, it stopped trying to run. Perhaps it was because it was familiar with them now, or perhaps because it knew it was about to go home, but it curled up in its bed, shifting about in discomfort. Zhi Xiaotuo asked, is the rope tied too tightly? The ginseng nodded, and the flower on its head moved a little. Zhi Xiaotuo asked, should I untie it a little for you? The ginseng nodded again. With that, Zhi Xiaotuo tied a slip knot around it. Chen Lang gently tucked its towel blanket around it, before moving to share a bed with Chen Zhen. Xiang Cheng and Zhi Xiaotuo went to sleep on another bed. Xiang Cheng was very warm, and Zhi Xiaotuo felt very comfortable. As he was held in Xiang Cheng's arms, he drifted slowly off to sleep. In the middle of the night, alongside the banging that the chilly winds brought outside, Zhi Xiaotuo felt Xiang Cheng shift slightly. What's wrong? Zhi Xiaotuo woke up and opened his eyes. Xiang Cheng was currently digging through their bags. He set the bag down by their bed. Through the zipper, the totem glowed with a weak light. Xiang Cheng gestured for him to be quiet. Zhi Ziaduo heard, from the bed across from them, the sounds of Chen Zhen and Chen Lang's breathing. Is it the totem? Zhi Ziaduo was still hazy with sleep. With one hand, Xiang Cheng held Zhi Ziaduo, while he went to retrieve the totem with the other. Zhi Ziaduo whispered, Fengli has probably finished drawing the array, and the totem's begun to gather energy. Xiang Cheng glanced at it before putting the totem back. Let's keep sleeping. Zhi Ziaduo curled up in the blankets, a little more awake. He reached out to stroke Xiang Cheng's chest and pinch his pecs, only for Xiang Cheng to grab him and kiss him on the lips. Don't touch me randomly, Xiang Cheng said, very quietly. Holding back is already really hard. Zhi Ziaduo began to smile. Xiang Cheng continued, be good, go to sleep first. A quiet sound came from outside, and Xiang Cheng immediately stopped moving. Zhi Ziaduo. Xiang Cheng gestured for him to be quiet. Amidst the whooshing of the wind, he could make out the quiet snap of twigs breaking, as well as the sound of an animal growling. Hear that? Xiang Cheng asked quietly. What? Zhi Ziaduo asked, confused. Xiang Cheng rose to his feet, swiftly pulling on his pants and down jacket. Zhi Ziaduo rose to go with him, but Xiang Cheng tossed his clothes to him so that he could put them on fast. As soon as Xiang Cheng took a step, Chen Zhen's voice said, the mandrill has left. Zhi Ziaduo was greatly startled by Chen Zhen. He pulled the kerosene lamp off the hook, and shone it on the bunk across from them. Chen Zhen was sleeping in his blankets, wearing a shirt that revealed his pale, muscled arms, which were hugging Chen Lang. Chen Lang was curled up in his arms, sound asleep, and one hand was placed on the left side of Chen Zhen's chest. I'll go take a look, Xiang Cheng said. You don't need to get up. Zhi Ziaduo lifted the lamp up and pushed open the door, only for the blizzard to come sweeping in, right into his face. Xiang Cheng wrapped one arm around Zhi Ziaduo, protecting his face and head, as he bent over and dashed past under the branches of the trees. The kerosene lamp shone into the depths of the forest. This time, the sound was even more evident, it sounded like the howls of some monster. It's the mandrill's voice. Zhi Ziaduo said. Xiang Cheng nodded to indicate that he understood. Zhi Ziaduo pulled out a talisman and stuck it to the lamp, and the lamp floated into the air, rising high into the sky. The trees of the Greater Qing'an Range towered above them, stacking layer upon layer in the dark night sky. The scenery inside the forest turned into that of a fairy realm filled with drifting snowflakes, and the dancing snowflakes made it impossible to tell which ones were floating down from the sky and which ones had been shaken off branches. The kerosene lamp flew into the sky, traveling through the forest, before coming to a hovering halt. A black shadow dashed as swiftly as could be through the tops of the trees, leaping towards where the sound was coming from. Xiang Cheng took Zhi Ziaduo's hand, and the two of them began to dash along in the snow. They got closer and closer to the sound of that voice. Suddenly, their surroundings shook, and the black shadows came swarming over them like the tide. Zhi Ziaduo shouted, not good. Run, quick. Hold on to me. Xiang Cheng called. Zhi Ziaduo wrapped his arms around Xiang Cheng, who turned and leaped towards the closest pine tree. Amidst the wild winds, he climbed it before kicking off one of the branches and leaping towards the second tree not too far in the distance. A gust of wind blew across his face, and another black shadow appeared on the treetop. In midair, Zhi Ziaduo touched down on the crook of a branch. Xiang Cheng grabbed Zhi Ziaduo's waist and dipped him, just as a sharp axe swept past his face and just barely ruffled the hair on his forehead. It was the briefest of moments, but Zhi Ziaduo saw a headless person shoot past above him. Xiang Cheng then grabbed Zhi Ziaduo's wrist with his left hand, while he latched onto the branch with his right. He swept his foot out in a kick, and the wild man roared angrily, lifting an arm to block. There was a huge boom as Xiang Cheng kicked a metal shield, and that wild man was sent flying backwards. That's it? Zhi Ziaduo shouted. Xiang Cheng held Zhi Ziaduo as he leaped into the air, sliding down along the trees down to the ground. As the two of them landed, the kerosene lamp drifted down as well, hovering high above their heads. The light it gave out illuminated a small region around them. The wind had stopped. Xiang Cheng turned his head to look around them. Zhi Ziaduo was so nervous that he was quaking, and he reached one hand into the bag. "It's run off," Zhi Ziaduo said. But just as he finished speaking, the wild man came charging in once more from out of the darkness. It first slammed its shield into Xiang Cheng, who could not help but be sent flying. Zhi Ziaduo let out a loud shout at that, just as another wild man charged at him from behind. A third and a fourth appeared, and suddenly the forest was filled with an army of them, charging towards the two of them. As Xiang Cheng flew, he turned and kicked off a tree, before shooting back like an arrow loosed from a bow. He pulled out the Yao subduing staff and with a flick, sent the headless wild man charging at Zhi Ziaduo from behind flying backwards. The wild men began to beat the axes in their hands against their shields. Xiang Cheng and Zhi Ziaduo found themselves back to back. "Jump!" Xiang Cheng shouted. Zhi Ziaduo immediately turned and sprawled over Xiang Cheng's back. Xiang Cheng then pounced forward, transforming without any warning into the azure dragon. In that moment, all of the headless wild men came charging forwards, swinging their battle axes down at the azure dragon. With a sweep of its tail, the azure dragon rose into the air, and trees fell beneath them. "Don't breathe fire!" Zhi Ziaduo shouted. If he breathed fire now, Xiang Cheng would torch the trees and eventually set the entirety of the Greater Qing'an Mountains alight, which would create unimaginable consequences. The ground was covered with flying axes, but as soon as the azure dragon rose higher into the sky, battle axes flew head over hill towards them. "Dive!" Zhi Ziaduo yelled. As soon as Zhi Ziaduo ducked, the azure dragon dropped down towards the ground. Shields and axes went flying every which way, and Zhi Ziaduo dodged a flying axe as he pulled out a handful of talismans, scattering them through the air. The azure dragon let out an angered roar, and lightning crackled in its mouth. As soon as the lightning struck the metal, it leaped quickly from one to the next, violently zapping through the glade, turning it in that moment into a huge web of lightning, which went sweeping forth like an impact wave. The wild men scattered in all directions upon being hit, and they could not stop convulsing. The azure dragon was just about to bite one of them and capture it, only for a huge boom to sound behind it. The azure dragon swiftly turned back, only to see one corner of the mountain in the distance collapse. The avalanche came sweeping towards them like a tsunami, and right in between the avalanche and the center of the forest were the wooden houses in the logging camp. Zhi Ziaduo let out a loud shout. The azure dragon had no attention to spare for these wild men here, and it quickly turned and rushed back. A ball of dragon fire gathered in its throat, but it was afraid of setting the wooden houses in the logging camp alight. The avalanche gathered speed at a rate visible to the naked eye, and the azure dragon did its utmost, only to collide headfirst with the powdery snow that weighed several hundred tons. Cough, cough. Zhi Ziaduo stuck his head out above the snow. The azure dragon writhed as it dashed out of the snow. "Chen Zhen!" Zhi Ziaduo shouted. With several vigorous sweeps, the azure dragon scattered the powdered snow explosively, revealing the door to the wooden house. With another sweep of its tail, the azure dragon swept something out of the snowy field. The SUV went flying the other way. Xiang Cheng transformed back into a human, and he and Zhi Ziaduo rushed forwards, using their shoulders to force open the wooden door. The inside was completely empty. About half of the wooden house had collapsed, covering the spot where Xiang Cheng and Zhi Ziaduo had slept. The bunk that Chen Lang and Chen Zhen had been sleeping in was completely intact, but the two of them had disappeared. Zhi Ziaduo. "Their outdoor jackets and down jackets aren't here," Xiang Cheng said. "They're all right. They must have left here under safe conditions." Zhi Ziaduo realized that there were no clothes by the bedside, which was to say that Chen Zhen and Chen Lang had first put on their clothes before they left. The ginseng's also gone. Zhi Ziaduo said. The Yao binding rope and the ginseng had both disappeared. The two of them then circled around the house. Xiang Cheng turned the overturned SUV over, but Zhi Ziaduo didn't find anything out of place. Where could they have gone? Zhi Ziaduo asked. He pulled out his cell phone, but there was no signal. Xiang Cheng stood in the snow, looking down as he put on his gloves. He narrowed his eyes slightly, as if he was sensing something. The Yao binding rope is in that direction, Xiang Cheng said, pointing into the distance. Quick, get in the car. The two of them climbed into the car, and Xiang Cheng reversed the car and shifted gears, driving along the roadway beside the forest. They circled around the forest. The headless wild people from before had already vanished, and the mandrill had gone to who knows where as well. The sky was already growing bright, and at the end of the road in front of them was a patch of stumps covered with white snow. At the other end of the sea of stumps was another patch of primeval forest. Zhi Ziaduo noticed that there were two trails running across the snow, passing through the depths of the forest. Beside one tree stump was carved the symbol of Dipankara. On the ground lay a wild boar whose head had been cut off. The wild boar's blood had already frozen over. Zhi Ziaduo. He left via sled, Xiang Cheng said. There's no more road to follow, so the car can't make it in. From the depths of the forest came the roar of a wild man, before the sounds of all of the weapons clashing against the shields reverberated through the forest. Don't go into the sky, Zhi Ziaduo said. I'm afraid we'll be found. Xiang Cheng thought for a moment, before tearing off the front hood off the car. He wiped it simply with snow, before letting Zhi Ziaduo sit on it, saying, I'll be the husky for a while, and you control the direction. Zhi Ziaduo, all right. With that, Xiang Cheng tied a rope around that steel plate, before dragging Zhi Ziaduo along and running into the depths of the forest. His steps grew quicker and quicker, and as they went in, the plate reached the speed where they were basically flying along. Zhi Ziaduo couldn't help leaning back and shouting, slower, slower. Xiang Cheng leaped into the air and landed on the steel plate, standing with one foot in front and most of his weight on his back leg. Zhi Ziaduo yelled. They almost crashed into several trees, but they managed to avoid them thanks to Xiang Cheng's dodging left and right. They followed the sled tracks that Chen Zhen had left behind, circling around all of the trees, before the scenery before their eyes suddenly gave way to empty air. Zhi Ziaduo. The steel plate took the two of them along as it shot out past the open land, flying with a whoosh off a cliff. In that single split second, Zhi Ziaduo opened up Xiang Cheng's umbrella with a hwala, and the two of them flew towards the cliff opposite them. They then landed back on the ground, and the umbrella closed. Xiang Cheng held Zhi Ziaduo's hand again as they swiftly ran along, heading in the direction Chen Zhen's sled marks went. We're close, Xiang Cheng said. Zhi Ziaduo immediately cried out, watch out. As they crossed the vast plain covered in white snow, what they found was a stone bridge. At the other end of the bridge was Luyantu. When they looked out across the valley, what they saw was that the paths across the mountain crisscrossed, and they were swarming with wildman soldiers. The two of them drifted, having almost run headfirst into the center of a group of headless wild men. Xiang Cheng hurriedly dragged Zhi Ziaduo to hide behind a huge outcropping of rock. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Outside the complicated system of crisscrossing caverns that was Luyan Head. A red rope dragged along in the snow. The ginseng was still bound with the Yao binding rope as it hopped along towards one of the cave entrances. It peeked in, only for the rope to get stepped on by a foot. The ginseng was greatly frightened by that and let out a meep. The ginseng turned back to look. Chen Zhen made a shh gesture, and upon seeing a familiar face, the ginseng was no longer frightened. It carefully looked around. Chen Zhen held the Yao binding rope, and he and the ginseng hid above a rock outcropping, looking down. A headless giant a good 3 meters tall sat on the royal throne made of rocks. Its voice rumbled like thunder as it seemed to say something garbled. Chen Lang sat to one side. He wasn't bound, and as he took the water that a headless wild man handed him, the leader of the giants gestured for him to drink. Chen Lang drank a mouthful of warm water and set it down, before making a gesture to indicate that he couldn't understand what that headless giant was saying. 2 huge eyes sprouted forth from the headless giant's chest, and though its mouth split open, it couldn't speak. Chen Lang signed at the giant, "Why did you capture me and bring me here?" The headless giant also gestured back at Chen Lang. It pointed at the non-existent head on its shoulders, before blinking the eyes on its chest. Chen Lang was confused. The headless giant stared fixedly at Chen Lang. Its eyes looked down slightly, before looking back up again, and it picked up a branch. It drew a few symbols on the ground, before crossing out the first 2 symbols. Chen Lang understood its general intent, and he signed, "That's right, I can't hear, nor can I speak." The headless giant pointed at its own chest with 2 fingers. From up high, Xiang Cheng looked up, only to see, on the cliff across from them was Chen Zhen in hiding, waiting to ambush, and the little ginseng, which was dragging the Yao binding rope along. From far away, Zhi Ziaduo signed at Chen Zhen, "How did he get captured?" "Chen Zhen, when you guys left, you didn't close the door properly, and a wild pig ran in. The ginseng got dug up by the pig." Chen Zhen made a gesture mimicking how a pig dug stuff up, and Zhi Ziaduo's imagination immediately came up with the scene of the ginseng, who had suffered through so many hardships, stuck in a wild pig's mouth as it was taken away, 2 trails of tears running down its cheeks and dispersing on the wind. "Chen Zhen, we chased after the pig, but then the pig. By the things down there." Chen Zhen gestured at the headless wild men beneath the cliff, then made a chop gesture. With one hand, he made a picks-up gesture, meaning the wild men had then taken Chen Lang away. Zhi Ziaduo nodded and looked down curiously. End chapter. Post-training notice. National First-Class Registered Exorcist. Extra chapter. The Starry River Above, Part 6. The headless giant turned its back to them, revealing the strong muscles of its back, and was talking to Chen Lang, with 2 fingers pointing towards his chest. "What is he doing, pressing down on his nipples?" Xiang Cheng asked, confused. Zhi Ziaduo. "That's his eyes." Zhi Ziaduo said, "I know what it is now. Be very wary of that guy." "What is it?" Xiang Cheng asked. "The Fei Tian." Zhi Ziaduo said with surprise in his eyes. Xiang Cheng gestured to Chen Zhen, indicating that the monster below was very dangerous and they must be careful. However, Xiang Cheng had not learned sign language, and the correct expression would be to press your right thumb against your little finger and pat your left palm a few times. Xiang Cheng expressed to Chen Zhenyu, then waved his hand to say don't, then pointed down to say go down. Then he made a gesture of using the heart lamp, pressing down with both hands and then wiggling his fingers to make a glowing motion. Chen Zhen. Chen Zhen, with a questioning look, confirmed the action of pressing down with both hands together. Xiang Cheng nodded. Zhi Ziaduo. Pressing down with both hands together means launch an attack now, Zhi Ziaduo said. Xiang Cheng. Chen Zhen had already turned and was beginning to run downwards, so Xiang Cheng could only rush over immediately. Zhi Ziaduo said, "Wait. Wait ah." Chen Lang was still gesturing with the giant. "I'm not you guys." Chen Lang pointed to his ears and shook his hand. "Although I can't hear, we're different." Zhi Ziaduo saw him signing from a distance and suddenly understood. The Fei Tian had probably thought that Chen Lang was the same kind of being as him. But Chen Lang looked so different from them ah. How were the Fei Tian classified? Chen Zhen. Zhi Ziaduo suddenly shouted, his voice echoing through the valley. Chen Zhen and Xiang Cheng were scared to death, and Xiang Cheng quickly signaled to Zhi Ziaduo not to speak. The headless giant did not respond, it was still arguing with Chen Lang. I see your soul, the headless giant gestured, your Tianpo, the po in your eyes, has been changed. How did it change? Chen Lang hesitated a bit. The headless giant, I want to make a head, so teach me. It can't hear. Zhi Ziaduo shouted towards the other side, they can't hear anything. The Xingtian competed with the emperor for divine power. The emperor severed his head and buried it in the Changyang mountains. His eyes are his nipples, his navel is his mouth, and he wielded his qi and danced. Zhi Ziaduo shouted again. He had eyes and a mouth, but no ears. Chen Zhen's voice came over, saying, say that earlier. Xiang Cheng also shouted, what should we do now? Chen Zhen said, don't you want me to go down? Xiang Cheng replied, what I meant was for you to back us up from the top. As they spoke, they went down the cliff to avoid the guards patrolling above. Zhi Ziaduo said, even if you guys talked right behind him, he wouldn't even know. N. Chen Zhen looked up and said, what did Xiao Lang just say? Zhi Ziaduo said, I saw Xiao Lang's gesture. Chen Zhen said, Ziaduo, wait at the edge of the cliff. Don't come over. Xiang Cheng and I will go down and deal with it. Behind the Xingtian, the three of them chatted on the cliff. Xiang Cheng said, take its weapon, and it won't be able to play anymore. He then threw a stone behind the Xingtian, which bounced off the shield on the ground with a clanging sound. Chen Zhen said, understood. Wait. Zhi Ziaduo said, don't do anything yet. Chen Lang, I don't know how. The Xingtian, ahead, I have one, but it can't be enlightened. Chen Lang was a bit confused, and the Xingtian made a gathering movement, as if making a head out of some force. It then held it up and placed the virtual head around its neck, waved its hands around, then spread them out, indicating that it didn't know what to do. Zhi Ziaduo was extremely surprised and stopped Xiang Cheng and Chen Zhen. I know what it wants, Zhi Ziaduo said, its head was cut off before, and the weapon it was beheaded with must have also cut off its soul as well, so it has been searching for its own head this entire time. Now it has come up with another way, but I'm not sure. Zhi Ziaduo stood up high and gestured to Chen Lang, agree to it. Chen Lang glanced over and immediately calmed down, nodding to the Xingtian. The Xingtian stood up, and Chen Zhen and Xiang Cheng immediately ducked low to the cliff, avoiding its gaze. The Xingtian didn't notice them coming over and got up. It picked up its shield and axe, and gestured for Chen Lang to walk ahead of it. Xiang Cheng hugged Zhi Ziaduo as they landed on the ground. Chen Zhen climbed down, and the ginseng ran over, the red string trailing behind it. Zhi Ziaduo waved at it, but the ginseng pulled at Zhi Ziaduo's pants, trying to lead him to the other side. Later, Zhi Ziaduo said to the ginseng. The Xingtian and Chen Lang walked down the path down the cliff, heading along the stone steps towards higher ground. They can only see, Zhi Ziaduo explained to Xiang Cheng and Chen Zhen. They can't smell our scent because they don't have a nose. They don't have ears either. In theory, they're not difficult to deal with, Chen Zhen said. Chen Lang followed the Xingtian and arrived at a cliff hanging over thin air, where a separate array had been drawn out in front of a platform. That was a rune that even Zhi Ziaduo and Chen Lang didn't recognize. Zhi Ziaduo immediately took out a notebook from his bag and recorded the array. Maybe they could use it for Chen Zhen to refine his Zhongshupo in the future. In the center of the array floated a cloud of light. The Xingtian opened its mouth, dribbling saliva the entire time, and walked to the center of the array, standing under the light. Its po came out of its neck like a fluttering ribbon, wrapping around the light and pressing it against its neck. Chen Lang also understood now and said, do you plan to recast your Linghui Po and Tianchong Po? The Xingtian gestured and said, yes. It then pointed to its abdomen, made a simple movement, and also pointed to its chest, meaning, although I have eyes, I cannot see. I have a mouth, but I cannot speak, I can only feel. Zhi Xiaoduo looked at its front body and saw that its eyes were very different from normal. Its eyes were completely white, there was a pupil in the middle of the white eye, but there was no iris, and the pupil itself was a rune. Its eyes and mouth are transformed from the Zongshipo. Zhi Xiaoduo immediately said, it's just like your mink, it can only perceive and cannot see specific details. Chen Lang, sorry, I don't know how to become enlightened. You will have to think of a way for yourself. Ba. The Xing Tian stood there dumbfounded, while Chen Lang pointed to himself, meaning that he was going to leave. The Xing Tian instantly let out a roar, causing severe pain in Zhi Xiaoduo's eardrums. Just as Chen Zhen was about to take action, something had happened between the cliffs. The Xing Tian froze, then turned to look into the distance. There was a commotion in the gravel cave under Luoyan Head, and a mandrill rushed out holding a small mandrill. The ginseng trailed a red rope behind it as it chased after the mandrill, jumping non-stop. A group of headless savages rushed out after the mandrill. I'll save him! Chen Zhen roared. I'll save the ginseng! Zhi Xiaoduo shouted. Once you save him, run! Xiang Cheng exclaimed, it has too many little brothers. We'll come back later and level this place. In the next moment, Xiang Cheng flew out and kicked the Xingtian's back. The Xingtian fell forward, and Chen Zhen rushed forward to grab Chen Lang. Chen Lang pointed to the array and then to Zhi Xiaoduo. Zhi Xiaoduo gestured to him, meaning that they should run first and talk later. The Xingtian turned around and slashed at Xiang Cheng with a swipe of its axe. Xiang Cheng kicked the flat of the axe with one foot and jumped to the side, disengaging from the fight. In midair, he transformed into an azure dragon and flew towards Zhi Xiaoduo. Zhi Xiaoduo jumped off the mountain wall and landed on the dragon's head. The azure dragon carried Zhi Xiaoduo while flying towards the broken bridge. The mandrill was carrying another small mandrill in one arm, racing along the cliff. The Xingtian roared fiercely, its eyes emitting flames that shot towards the sky. Zhi Xiaoduo shouted, watch your back. The azure dragon circled and took advantage of the opportunity to fly down to the ground, shaking Chen Zhen and Chen Lang into the air, and catching them. The Xingtian jumped between the cliffs, and in an instant, it arrived in front of them, slashing at the dragon's head with an axe. The azure dragon suddenly turned his head and jabbed his horns against the Xingtian's abdomen, lifting him up while flying. During this delay, tens of thousands of headless savages had already surged out of the cave, and together they cracked open their bellies and let out howls, chasing after the mandrill. The azure dragon not only had to deal with the Xingtian, but also had to take care of Chen Zhen and others on his head, all while saving Zhi Xiaoduo's pet. He was too harried at the moment and dared not flip over too much in the air, so he had to skim along against the ground. The Xingtian landed on the cliff and raised his huge axe, which summoned a raging snowstorm. Suddenly, a blizzard howled around the surrounding mountains, surging in and dumping down snow from above. The sky teemed with wind and clouds, with dark clouds towering up above. The divine power and Xiang Cheng's dragon power remained on deadlock. Get out of here! Chen Zhen shouted. The azure dragon turned around, and when it got close to the ground, a tidal wave of headless savages rushed in, throwing ropes that they tried to wrap around the azure dragon. Xiang Cheng pulled up several times, but was fixed to the ground by countless ropes. Get down! Xiang Cheng exclaimed, rolling and transforming back into his human form, shaking the three of them off. Zhi Xiaoduo rolled on the spot and scattered forth lightning talismans. Chen Zhen shielded the two behind him and shouted, close your eyes. In an instant, the heart lamp flashed brightly. Tens of thousands of headless savages immediately howled, but in just a few seconds, Chen Zhen shook out his bracelet and flying swords soared forth like a tidal wave, colliding with the axes and madness of the savage army. As soon as Xiang Cheng landed, he unsheathed his sword of wisdom and rushed forward, bringing the sword down with a sky-sundering blow on the Xingtian's giant axe. The giant clang caused Zhi Ziaduo to almost spit up blood, and the force bowled several people over. Even Xiang Cheng couldn't resist it, the Xingtian was just too strong. There are too many of its little brothers here. Xiang Cheng roared, let's withdraw first. At that moment, another mandrill rushed out of the forest and met up with the mother mandrill. The ginseng noticed Zhi Ziaduo and couldn't stop bouncing as it ran towards him. However, with the roar of the Xingtian, tens of thousands of flying axes shot out, sweeping through the forest. Two mandrills worked together to catch the small mandrill, and in a moment of carelessness, the mother mandrill overlooked the flying axe that shot at her from behind. Blood splattered everywhere. Zhi Ziaduo had already rushed closer, and the male mandrill grabbed the little mandrill and charged towards Zhi Ziaduo. The Xingtian's eyes were already filled with anger, and its whole body turned red. The flames spewed out everywhere, and the male mandrill vigorously threw the little mandrill towards Zhi Ziaduo. Zhi Ziaduo flew into the air, hugged the little mandrill, and was then hugged by Xiang Cheng from behind as they rolled off the cliff. Run! Xiang Cheng retrieved the Yao binding rope and shook it out into an all-encompassing net, tripping the headless savage army that was roaring forward destructively like a tsunami. The four of them turned around and rushed up the stone steps, but the ginseng ran towards the other side. Follow it! Chen Zhen exclaimed. The four of them rushed wildly forward with the ginseng. The ginseng led them turning left and right, entering a dark cave, but in front of them was a dead end. At the end of the cave was a wooden cage, with a Lingzi crouched inside. Seeing that someone had come to rescue it, it immediately jumped with joy and tried to worm its lower body out of the gap in the cage. However, the head of the Lingzi was too big, and it found itself stuck with no way to get out. Xiang Cheng, Zhi Ziaduo, Chen Zhen, Chen Lang, there's another one. It's so cute. Behind them, the Xingtian's body blocked the exit of the cave. Who shouted to follow it just now? The corner of Zhi Ziaduo's mouth twitched. The Xingtian entered the cave step by step, and the ginseng anxiously bounced back and forth, asking them for help. The Xingtian roared at the cave, causing it to collapse. Amidst the vast expanse of snow and mountains, azure dragon flame burst out like an arrow from countless caves. Immediately after, nearly half the mountain was destroyed, and the Xingtian was hit by the force of this and was sent flying. The azure dragon, carrying Zhi Ziaduo, Chen Zhen, Chen Lang, the little mandrill, the Lingzi, and the ginseng, rushed out together. However, the azure dragon couldn't go far and crashed into the forest head first, collapsing an entire patch of that forest, and Xiang Cheng returned to his human form. Xiang Cheng, Zhi Ziaduo said anxiously. I'm fine. Xiang Cheng roared, I consumed too much of the dragon soul power at once. I can't transform anymore. They're catching up. Chen Zhen shouted, run. Chen Zhen took the small mandrill off him and threw it to Xiang Cheng. The mandrill immediately hugged Xiang Cheng's foot as it was dragged along through the forest. Zhi Ziaduo wrapped the Lingzi and ginseng in a scarf and threw them to Chen Lang. As they dragged along all this stuff, the group started the great escape for their lives. More and more headless savages appeared as the Xingtian had fallen into a state of madness. They burned the forest while chasing after them, and Xiang Cheng dragged the mandrill onwards and bumpily charged forward. I can't run anymore, Chen Zhen gasped, holding onto a tree. Zhi Ziaduo was about to throw up from running so much, while Chen Lang leaned up against a tree, panting. The earth shook violently, and the vast army of savages, led by the Xingtian, came to slaughter them. Xiang Cheng roared, run ah! Xiang Cheng dragged Chen Zhen, who was dragging Chen Lang with his left hand while he dragged Zhi Ziaduo with his right hand. The ginseng, Lingzi, and mandrill were also all hanging onto him, complaining incessantly as they making every effort to escape in the forest. Be careful of the trees ah! Zhi Ziaduo shouted. Xiang Cheng pushed Chen Zhen, and Chen Zhen and Chen Lang slid down the mountain slope. Zhi Ziaduo drifted, and then Xiang Cheng pounced on him from behind, the two of them rolling down the mountain slope together. The headless savages all threw down their shields, stepped onto them, and quickly chased after them. With a vast expanse of blankness in front of him, Chen Zhen rushed out of the forest in a daze. Seeing the off-road vehicle, he immediately rushed into it, and Xiang Cheng threw Zhi Ziaduo, Chen Lang, the Mandrill, the Lingzi, and the Ginseng into the car one by one. Chen Zhen turned the key for the off-road vehicle, and the car engine sputtered, misfiring. Chen Zhen. The water tank froze. Chen Zhen said, who took off the front cover off car. Xiang Cheng. Xiang Cheng had no choice but to draw out the sword of wisdom and say, you guys go. Chen Zhen opened the sunroof, climbed onto the roof of the car, and said, Ziaduo, take Xiao Lang and go. A dense crowd of headless savages rushed towards them, and the 3-meter-tall giant Fei Tian jumped out of the forest and roared at them with a long bellow. Xiang Cheng shook the sword of wisdom with both hands, and it transformed into a giant sword. The Fei Tian rushed forward, an axe in his right hand and a shield in his left. In another exchange, he collided with Xiang Cheng. The shield and axe were ancient artifacts, and Xiang Cheng's sword of wisdom unexpectedly couldn't hold up against the Fei Tian, so he could only exchange blows with him to go on the offense. Behind the Fei Tian, the group of headless savages arrived and surrounded the off-road vehicle. In the moment they charged forward, however, Chen Zhen's heart lamp blazed again, exploding forward, overturning the charging savages. A circle of flying swords then shot out. Even the Fei Tian dared not look at the heart lamp and avoided its blaze of light. There's a chance now. Xiang Cheng found the weak point and swung his sword, exploding forth with qi, cracking open the Xingtian's chest. However, the Xingtian's wound only appeared for a moment and quickly closed again. Zhi Ziaduo shouted, find its weakness. It's. Chen Lang pulled at Zhi Ziaduo's pant leg. Zhi Ziaduo. Chen Lang took out the shining sacred land totem from Zhi Ziaduo's bag and gestured for him to take a look. Zhi Ziaduo immediately picked up the totem and shouted, is anyone there? Is anyone there? In the sacred land, Fengli was debugging the launcher at the top of the temple with the Corpse Ghost King. Fengli said, I can hear you. Corpse Ghost King, had fun? Are you enjoying yourself to your heart's content? Zhi Ziaduo's voice came in and out, we are right now, the Fei Tian. The Corpse Ghost King thought of something else and said, exactly what I was thinking about, the Fei Tian. Fengli just mentioned it to me yesterday. Fei Tian had his head cut off after the first war against the Heavenly Emperor, and over the years, he has been constantly trying to retrieve his head, even resorting to any means necessary. The earth veins. Zhi Ziaduo said. Xiang Cheng's dragon soul was exhausted, and the Fei Tian was also an ancient god, so they were getting so crushed that they couldn't breathe. Zhi Ziaduo said frantically, save us ah! The totem needed an earth vein to have an effect. Where could they find an earth vein at this time? Chen Lang, what's wrong? Zhi Ziaduo hurriedly signed, and Chen Lang pointed to Chen Zhen and then up into the sky. The principle of using earth veins also applies to heavenly veins. Chen Zhen sat on the roof of the car, gasping for breath, and Zhi Ziaduo muttered to himself, but how do we get through to the heavenly vein? Chen Zhen signaled to let him take a break first, but in less than half a minute, more savages came to kill them. Chen Zhen tried his best to rally himself and said, come, what do we need to do? Tell me. Zhi Ziaduo suddenly remembered that Chen Zhen's heart lamp used the power of the heavenly veins. Under the concentrated power of the heart lamp, a strong light directly reached into the sky, and due to the power of the heart lamp, many colors immediately appeared in the heavenly veins, like an aurora drifting across the sky like a curtain. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The sacred land. The totem sensed the power of the heavenly vein and enhanced the signal. Zhi Ziaduo's voice broke into static, and Feng Li and the Corpse Ghost King immediately covered their ears. "Hello, hello." The Corpse Ghost King said, "Can you hear me?" Zhi Ziaduo roared angrily, "Save us, the great king is going to be beaten." Just as he said that, the totem projected the scene, and Xiang Cheng dragged his sword of wisdom back. He was chased by the Fei Tian and couldn't do anything but try to escape. The Corpse Ghost King. "Feng Li, bring me my weapons." The Corpse Ghost King roared, "Today we're going to teach that guy a lesson about my strength." Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The Greater King and Mountains. Chen Zhen pushed out the heart lamp with both hands, and the power of the heavenly veins increased. With a wang that covered the heavens, Chen Zhen's whole body glowed brightly, and wherever the bright light went, the headless savages closed their eyes and could not look at him directly. Chen Zhen and Xiang Cheng were both exhausted, and Zhi Ziaduo prayed internally that he'd better not make mistakes with the array. Under the illumination of the heart lamp, the space behind the off-road vehicle rippled, sucking away the power of the heavenly veins brought by the heart lamp. "I can't support it anymore." Chen Zhen gritted his teeth. Chen Lang hugged Chen Zhen from behind, and with a loud bang, the light of the heart lamp strengthened again, slicing through space itself and shining in all directions under the dark cloud-covered sky. "Kill them," the Ghost King shouted. Subsequently, the thousands of soldiers and horses dispatched to the Great King and Mountains from the sacred land instantly rushed out of the portals opened by the totem. The mountains shook and the earth trembled, creating something like an avalanche. 20,000 iron cavalry of soldiers who had fallen in battle rushed into the logging camp, each armed with weapons, heading towards the headless army to slaughter them. Upon seeing the arrival of reinforcements, Xiang Cheng immediately abandoned the battle and rushed towards Zhi Ziaduo with his longsword in hand. The scene was chaotic with the headless army and the corpse army charging at each other, and the off-road vehicle almost overturned several times. Zhi Ziaduo tried to stabilize himself, but a hand reached out from behind him and grabbed him. "I'm on your side." Zhi Ziaduo yelled, "Don't attack. It's me." Xiang Cheng was riding a horse and pulled Zhi Ziaduo down to join him. The heart lamp glowed brightly again, and behind Chen Zhen appeared a huge rune. In the golden light, Chen Lang held the heart lamp. Chen Zhen stood behind Chen Lang, his arms wrapped around his shoulders, and his hands cupped around the heart lamp. His palms were turned slightly outwards. The bodies of the two brothers became almost transparent in the strong light, shining with a starry radiance, which then spread out to cover everything. Shining with radiance, the starry river above. A billion points of starlight erupted from the heart lamp and shone into the eyes on all the headless soldiers' chests. Chen Zhen opened his eyes, clasped his fingers with both hands and fired. 2 points of starlight directly shattered the Xingtian's eyes. The Xingtian's eyes were immediately sealed and it opened its mouth in a pained roar, swinging its axe and shield around non-stop. "Hold on!" Xiang Cheng shouted, "Take the reins." Zhi Ziaduo rode the corpse horse and, together with Xiang Cheng, shot towards the Fei Tian. "Its weakness should be at its neck," Zhi Ziaduo shouted. The Corpse Ghost King rushed out from among the thousands of soldiers and horses, holding a long halberd. The halberd pierced the Xingtian's bloody mouth, and Zhi Ziaduo then leaped forward from the horse. Xiang Cheng went for an overhead kick in the air, and the two of them swept over the Xingtian's shoulder. Xiang Cheng's sword pierced the seam in its neck and plunged straight into it. Xiang Cheng did his best to flip over and mount the horse by the stirrups, and the two of them flew away, the horse landing solidly on its feet. The Fei Tian couldn't stop shaking, and its eyes and the sky erupted with blazing light as an azure soul flew away. The ancient god of war, Chen Zhen's voice echoed through the world. "In the name of Daipamkara, wash away all attachments in your heart and transcend your unyielding soul." The heart lamp rolled out a gentle wave of light, instantly submerging the headless army, and their souls transformed into stars under this blazing light, shooting towards the sky. Zhi Ziaduo couldn't help but gasp for breath. After a moment, the heart lamp stopped glowing, and Chen Zhen fell down. Chen Lang quickly hugged him tightly. At night, a bonfire rose on the mountaintop of the Luyantu. The snowstorm had stopped. Chen Zhen lay in the middle of the Xingtian's array and Chen Lang gestured to Zhi Ziaduo. Zhi Ziaduo, are you sure? Chen Lang, it can definitely be done. The Xingtian had already been released from its earthly bonds, and there was still pure soul energy floating around in this array. Zhi Ziaduo said, then we'll ask the corpse ghost king to help us. I will protect the array for you. The ghost king stood amidst the mountains. Let's start ba, Xiang Cheng said. Chen Zhen has given too much this time. Even if we take him back to Beijing now, he will still suffer from a serious illness. The Lingzi and little Ginseng stood to the side and blew air into Chen Zhen's mouth. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. In the dark spiritual world, there was no heaven or earth, and a lonely soul wandered through the endless void. A little light lit up, and then it turned into a dazzling galaxy in the sky. Xiao Lang. Gig. Chen Lang was shining all over, holding a ball of light in his hands, illuminating the endless universe. Xiao Lang. Chen Zhen smiled and said, this is the first time that I've heard your voice. This is for you, Chen Lang said gently. Gig. But. Chen Zhen seemed to remember something, and just as he took the light, the surroundings lit up, restoring the color in this universe. The spiritual world was like a long river, wrapped in countless memories, washing their souls. Is this the color you mentioned, Gig? Chen Lang smiled and looked around. Can you see it now? Chen Zhen asked. N. Chen Lang nodded and said, in your world, I can also hear. That light was handed over from Chen Lang's hands to Chen Zhen's, and Chen Lang said, it's really beautiful. Ah. Wait. Chen Zhen saw that Chen Lang was about to turn around and leave, saying, Xiao Lang, you. Chen Zhen stood behind Chen Lang, who did not turn back. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. In the Greater Qing'an Mountains, Luyantu. Xiang Cheng and the corpse ghost king stood on each side. Chen Zhen lay on the ground, and Chen Lang knelt in front of Chen Zhen. In the quiet night sky, the Milky Way flowed like a ribbon. Chen Lang held the heart lamp in his hands, and the spiritual power from his head was drawn towards the heart lamp. It was then injected into Chen Zhen's body, and Chen Zhen's whole body glowed with light. Under the light of the heart lamp, everyone saw the spirit beast. Chen Zhen's mink was guarding Chen Lang's side. Chen Lang glanced at it, and the mink turned around and entered the heart lamp, entering Chen Zhen's body. The light faded away. Can I come and see your world occasionally in the future? Chen Lang asked softly. N. Of course. Chen Zhen said, no, Xiao Lang, how did you get in? I told you before not to use the heart lamp. The heart lamp went out, and the world finally fell silent. Chen Zhen opened his eyes, and Chen Lang looked eagerly at his brother. Seeing Chen Zhen awake, he smiled and hugged him. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. 1 month later, Beijing. At Chen Zhen's house, Zhi Ziaduo used a toothbrush to bathe the ginseng and lingzi, while occasionally chatting with Chen Lang. Zhi Ziaduo, why can you also use the heart lamp? Isn't he the only one who can use the heart lamp? Chen Lang, I don't know. That day, the heart lamp suddenly accepted me. Maybe it thought my soul was the same as his ba. Maybe it got us mixed up. Or maybe it's too old now, and it's malfunctioning. Zhi Ziaduo, can you still use it now? Chen Lang, he won't let me touch it again. Zhi Ziaduo, I guess your two souls are already a bit compatible, so the heart lamp equated you two as one person? Just like me and Xiang Cheng, no, wait. Is that really the case? Chen Lang, what are you talking about? Zhi Ziaduo hurriedly said okay, it's because the holes in my brain are too big. Done yet? Xiang Cheng asked, how many times have you bathed both of them, already? I can't bear to part with them Zhi Ziaduo threw the toothbrush. How about you each raise one? Chen Zhen said as he came over. After hearing this, the ginseng and Lingzi immediately hugged each other tightly, and the Lingzi even wrapped the ginseng's root several times around its stalk, signaling that they would never separate. Zhi Ziaduo looked at two medicinal herbs reluctantly and said, you guys cultivate well. I will come back to see you guys. Chen Lang, bye-bye, Ziaduo. We'll meet again in a few months la. Zhi Ziaduo also hugged Chen Lang and said to Chen Zhen, you also need to exercise well. Now I'm much better. Chen Zhen said with a smile, I have no problems going for a run every day. See you at the sacred land during the Zhongyuan festival. Xiang Cheng bid farewell to Chen Zhen and said, run less, don't breathe in the pollution and cause yourself other problems. Xiang Cheng waved his hand gracefully and drove away. Zhi Ziaduo was still lying in the back seat, looking at Chen Lang and the two small medicinal herbs he was holding. After arriving home, the mandrill that Huang Shan had shipped back had unexpectedly arrived first. When Lang Dog saw the mandrill, it immediately had a new toy, and licked it until its entire head was wet. Don't bully it. Zhi Ziaduo said, take it to cultivate. Lang Dog nodded and took a sausage to give to the mandrill. Chen Lang still bathed the two small medicinal herbs every day. In the morning, he jumped onto the bed and sat astride Chen Zhen's body. Chen Zhen, wrapped up in a blanket, cried out bitterly, Xiao Lang, I've been drinking so much that I'm getting nosebleeds. Can I stop for a few days? This is from the Lingzi, to regulate breathing and qi. Chen Lang smiled and then handed the thermos cup to Chen Zhen. A red sun shone for thousands of miles outside the window. Chen Zhen had breakfast, got in the car with Chen Lang, drove into Lingjing Alley, and went to work every day as usual. Xian Hezi hugged Chen Zhen's thigh and was dragged across the hallway by him, shouting, Director Chen. You must help me. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be getting picked on by Teacher Zhou. Chen Zhen dragged Xian Hezi into the conference room, where he was surrounded by colleagues. Xian Hezi quickly dusted himself off, got up and walked away as if nothing had happened. The Chen brothers extra. The Starry River above. End.